In today's session, we're going to be talking about creative financing because this is a question that I get asked a lot about. How do you fund a deal? What are the best ways to fund it? And are there any creative ways that you can fund it? Before we go into that, as you're aware, this is sponsored by the Property Investor app, which is the UK's first property investment platform, which showcases all kinds of deals all over the UK. Whether you're looking for a below market value deal, a rent-to-rent deal, a lease option deal, we've got them all there. Now, there are two ways to get involved. You can either go to the website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. Now, let's get straight to it. Creative financing. Everyone wants to know how to do it because let's face it, if you can get a deal done with putting as little money in as possible and it allows you to leverage as much as possible but still stay within the parameter, wouldn't that be a good thing? I'm going to tell you about a deal that I did. Now, this was a couple of years ago actually. It was a block of apartments I bought. So it's two houses, each converted into 5 apartments each, which meant that I was buying a block of 10 apartments. And in these 10 apartments, we'd agreed off memory, I think the purchase price was approximately, I think it's about maybe £700,000. Now, I managed to do a deal with the vendor at the price that we both thought was financially and commercially viable. Now, we went off to the broker. Now, the broker that I'm going to be talking about is a guy called Simon, and we managed to do a deal where I had to put in a deposit of less than 10% without offering any additional security. What Simon had done was actually nothing short of remarkable. So anyway, managed to put in less than 10%. I think it's about 50,000 on a purchase price of around 600,000 or 700,000. Remember, it's gone back a couple of years, so I can't remember the exact numbers. And as well as that, because we purchased a block of 10 apartments, we managed to utilise the multiple dwellings relief as well as commercial stamp duty, which meant that in actual fact I only paid 1% of the stamp duty. So why would I use creative financing? Very simple, because if I can structure a deal where I don't have to put as much money in, it means that I can purchase more properties and spend the money that I have got over a number of different projects. Now, if you think of what we've done this year, you can use creative financing to do things like lease options. You can use creative finance to acquire different types of properties. Now, this year I've acquired a block of 26 offices, which is now my office block in Wolverhampton. Now, purchase price was 525,000. I had to put down a deposit of £100,000, which is less than 20%. Now, because it's a commercial building, normally I would have to put down a deposit of 40%, but because we structured it as a lease option, I could get away with putting down a lesser deposit. And on top of that, when I come to exercise the option, I don't have to put in any additional funds. In actual fact, by me being creative with the way that I structured the deal, I can actually get the £100,000 that I put into the deal back. And remember, that's on a purchase, not even on a refinance. So it's really key to have a broker on board who really understands what you're looking to achieve. Everyone talks about having a good mortgage broker, but a good mortgage broker really needs to understand your vision. And the mortgage broker needs to be able to identify who you are, what your background is, what kind of product are you creating, who are you serving that product, or also who is your target demographic in terms of either a customer or a tenant. And they need to be able to relay that information back onto an application form, because remember, mortgages are still an application-based product. And as a result, if they get your vision and they get your product and your business down to a T, they can relay that back to the mortgage company, and as a result, the mortgage company can then assess your application. Now, I'm going to give you an example as to how a broker or even how a banker got this really wrong. So many years ago, we're talking about perhaps 2010, 2012, maybe slightly later than that, actually about 2015. I had a relationship manager at Lloyds Bank, and we were buying a property. It wasn't an expensive property. It was about £110,000 at the time, but it was actually producing £27,000 in annual rent. Now, when I went to Lloyds, and I said to them, because Lloyds have got a lot of my mortgages on my capital repayment program, I said to the bank at the time, I said, here's the purchase price, here's what it's producing, here's what it is. He went back, and then I don't know what he put in that application, but credit refused it, saying that there wasn't enough security to service the debt. So I had to go and question how a £27,000 income is not sufficient security to service the debt on a £110,000 purchase. And when we started to actually look at it, it wasn't credit that had made the issue. It was actually the banker who put the details in the application that caused the issue. And as a result, credit credit was literally just appraising all the information that was presented to them. Now, off the back of that, I had then had to go above the banker's head to a senior body, and it literally got approved within 10 minutes because no one could believe that a £27,000 income would not be sufficient to service a £110,000 purchase. So that's a real life example as to how a broker or how a banker can get it wrong if they don't understand you, they don't understand your business, they don't understand your product. And that's why it's key to have certain people in your team that really fight your corner. So we've talked about a bad broker, talked about a good broker, and more importantly, there's lots of other ways that you can finance deals. So we can talk about vendor finance. So vendor finance is where a vendor actually gives you the property or gives you the funds to purchase that property off them, and then they in essence become the bank. Ways that you can do this all has to be structured legally. I'm currently doing a deal where the vendor is actually offering me their property as a vendor finance deal for the value of £1.5 million. So lots of different ways there are to finance deals. It's not just the traditional 25% deposit down, 75% leverage. We could talk about bridging finance. Bridging finance, I've done a podcast on previously because I believe it's a great method for short-term finance. We can talk about vendor finance. We can talk about creative finance strategies, so you're not having to put in as much money from the outset. We can also talk about open market bridging as opposed to purchase price bridging. So these are all avenues that you need to be aware of. If you like the thoughts of that, again, go to my website, arshilahi.com/contact. Leave a web inquiry, said Arsh, I'm interested potentially about understanding more about finance. Leave your name, your email address and phone number, and I'll come straight back to you. So guys, I didn't mean this to be a pitch fest. It feels like I've mentioned it quite a few times, but understanding these little tools will help you go a long way. So feel free to connect with me on social media. Find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok, all under the handle of Arshilahi. Finally, as I said at the start, this is sponsored by the Property Investor app, which is the UK's first property investment platform, which showcases all kinds of deals all over the UK, whether it's below market value deals, rent-to-rent deals, lease option deals. We've got them all there. Now, there are two ways to get involved. You can either go to the website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. So on that note, guys, really hope that you've enjoyed this session and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye-bye.